My name is Trey Mangum, and this is Shadow and Act's Opening Act. Each week, we sit down with some of your favorite black creatives in Hollywood to discuss how they made it in the entertainment industry. This week, we are joined by Jermaine Fowler, who you've likely seen in television shows such as Superior Donuts and films like Sorry to Bother You. He can be seen soon in Coming to America from Amazon Studios. It is the sequel to the iconic film which we all love and know. Jermaine spoke with us about his first audition story, which is about one of the most nostalgic music countdown shows for anyone who grew up in the 90s and 2000s.
Oh yeah, my first audition was in New York. And it was they were rebooting TRL or something like that, or some a video countdown show or something like that, music video countdown show for MTV. I think they were rebooting TRL, and they had me audition to be the host. And I'm really bad at hosting. I'm just not a good host. I lose interest very easily. Sometimes it was funny, host, you just have to be there all day. And for me, I just want to be in and out, you know what I'm saying? And also making sure people are like kind of, you happy? I think I don't want to do that. I just kind of want to chill out, you know, and just be with the people, you know? So that was my first audition, and I did it. It went well, but I really didn't have really much going on in my career. You know what I mean? I didn't really have a lot. So I was really I was a nobody. And that's the story of my career for a long time, is auditioning for things, you know, doing pretty well in the rooms, but never really having, you know, a social media following. Because at the time, like Vine and YouTube and you know, social media were pretty big. And if you didn't at that time, if you didn't have a following, you had nothing to offer anybody. I remember that. I remember like I would lose gigs because I didn't have so-and-so amount of followers on Instagram. Yeah. And I think people are starting to realize that social media doesn't really show your true worth. That's not your worth, you know? And what I do best is I perform live. I perform in front of people. That's what I do best. And what I started to do was just let my stand-up comedy speak for itself. And I would book gigs through doing live stand-up shows in New York. I would kill. Sometimes I'd bomb. Most times I'd bomb. But I don't really care about bombing. It makes me laugh. And I would either book pilots or, you know, meet executives or after shows, or, you know, they email my manager at the time and be like, we want to meet Jermaine. And I'd tell them, because my stand-up is very autobiographical, and I would just talk about my family, you know, and me. And people would either want to make TV shows based around it or develop things, whatever, around these stories I would do on stage. So as much as I've auditioned, you know, like traditionally with scripts and sides and stuff, doing stand-up has opened more doors for me than just doing a traditional audition. You know, I think it's because you just get to know you get to know the person, you get to see the person, you get to get some context as to who the person is, and you get to see their creativity. And you can see that if you do stand-up, you can perform, you can write, and you can act. Like, you do so much. So I got to thank my decision to chase that stand-up, my stand-up career, and it's opened everything up for me, literally everything.
You know, it's interesting that you brought up Vine, because I feel like Vine was kind of like a fever dream. Like, it existed like during this split second in time. And I feel like it was a little bit ahead of its time too, because, you know, that's essentially what TikTok is right now, is Vine, but like a little bit longer form. And then, like you said, there were so many people, like, fortunately, a lot of people have been able to, you know, were able to pivot from their Vine to whether that's Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, acting. You know, I think every time I think about actors who transition, like Melvin Gregg is a good example of like someone who like was on Vine and then just kind of took it from there. But it's kind of like, it makes you realize that social media isn't exactly everything, because you can have like such a huge platform and then just like get, I guess, deplatformed out of nowhere because, you know, a company goes under and then you're just kind of left there. So I find it interesting that that's how we look at when we think of like people who get famous on social media.
Yeah, you know, I think social media is I think it's a blessing for a lot of people. Anyone who's popped off on it, kudos, like congratulations. I think you should truly embrace your resources. I think that's what social media is. It's a resource. And if you can really build a name off of it, do it. Like, do that. I'm a firm believer in not putting all your eggs in one basket, you know. Even in stand-up. Like, I don't just do stand-up. At one point, Bill Burr came to the DC Improv and told us, you know, these days you just can't do just stand-up. It's great to do it, but also, you know, writing and at the time, like, you know, having a web series and stuff like that, podcast, whatever it was, try to branch out and find something else to do. And I think that's what we're seeing during this pandemic is that, like, you know, a lot of podcasts are popping up because their live shows are scarce. And a lot of people who haven't done a podcast are finally doing one. And people are finally embracing writing and, you know, just being more creative. And I think that's great. I think people are finding, you know, that they're more talented than they thought they were.
Yeah. And you spoke a bit ago about pilots and, you know, doing pilots, booking pilots. What do you think is something that the general public does not know about the process of, you know, starring in a show? Because I think we always see in the trade publications when, you know, people sign overall deals, when people get cast, and then you see projects that are being in development, and then they never really, you know, nothing really surfaces, and then just like, oh, well, that didn't make it as far. So as someone who has, you know, booked several pilots, what do you think is the biggest misconception that people have about, you know, getting that first gig and getting just into the room where you can say, like, you know, I was cast in this project?
I think from experience, I think what people misunderstand is that your job isn't over when you book the show. You know, in fact, you have to work harder. The spotlight is on you. You have to work much harder, and not just on set, offset. You have to act better. You have to be better. To me, like, there are people who book a gig and they think that's it. You know, I'm good. This will be it for me. And the show goes away, and then they go away. You know, I think those shows, those opportunities are just platforms for you to really, like, once you get on the show, that means you can go out and pitch things that you want to do, or write things and develop things that you've always wanted to try to write. And, you know, but like when I did Donuts, that was my first major TV show vehicle. You know, that was my first big gig. And, but that for me was sort of just like a way to prove to casting directors for films and TV that, like, I can do this. Look at me. Look, this is, I can act, I can make people laugh, I can do drama, I can do all this stuff. I saw that as a way, I saw it as an audition. You know, I saw it as an introduction to who I am. But the show only introduced this much of who I am, a very small amount of what I can do. And I thank Boots Riley for putting me on my first movie after, you know, seeing my audition. And because the only thing I had at that time was Superior Donuts. That's the only thing I could show anybody. That and a couple web series that were extremely comedic, but that was it. And, you know, I got on Boots' set, and the first thing he told me was, I want to let you know something, man. You know, you come from the TV world, right? But, you know, movies are more of a conversation. And I was like, word. And that was the best advice that anyone's ever given me, anybody's ever given me on a film set, was you're just having a conversation. And that's the way, you know, I've approached, you know, every feature project I've had since then. But I truly never stopped grinding when I got Donuts. That wasn't like, I never relaxed. You can ask anyone on that set, anyone, you know, in the writer's room. I never took a day off, really. Like, I truly was everywhere. I was in the writer's room, you know, making sure, I didn't really have to make sure. Those writers are amazing. Like, you know, every single one of them, every single one of those writers, Peter Marietta and Betsy Thomas and so many Cindy Appel and like there's everybody, Hugh Moore, Dan St. Germain, Bob Daly, Neil Goldman, and Garrett Donovan. Everybody from that show is really like helped me kind of navigate what I really want to do, you know. And they were so nice to work with, man. I really had a great time on that show. But like you said, like before I did that, I did like 5 pilots before Donuts, you know, dead pilots that I was sure they were going to go. And it, you know, like it's, you have high expectations when you shoot these pilots. You put so much time in these pilots.
And there's so much money behind them too.
Money, luckily it's not mine, but it is.
But yeah, it's being spent.
Yeah, but you block out everything. Also, when you shoot a pilot, I think everybody plans their life after they shoot it because they know what can happen afterwards if it gets picked up. And that's what I would do. I did like 5 or 6 times, but I would get like, nah, it's not happening. No. But that wouldn't stop me. I know when people get a pilot that comes back that won't get picked up, like it's heartbreaking because you put so much time. There's so many people who put their time and effort into it, from the writers to the directors or the people that show up. For me, I love multicams. Like people who show up, like everybody. So much goes in. So much circuitry goes into a multicam. Pilots in general, single cam, whatever it is, whatever format it is. So much energy goes into it that when it comes back, as a no-go, it hurts sometimes, man. It really hurts. But you can't let that get you down for too long. You got to move on, and you got to come up with something else. And just continue, because all this is truly just, it's really a grind, man. It's really a grind.
And speaking of Donuts, you know, at the time it was credited as the first CBS sitcom with a black lead in pretty much a decade. Mm-hmm. And of course we've, you know, it's come further now. We have Bob Hart's Abishola, which is on the network. Mm-hmm. So that's another one to go in the canon. But at the time when you were filming it, did you realize that you were making history in that aspect? But you know, I remember when I saw it, I was like, this is actually true. Like I can't remember, just not CBS, but just on broadcast network television in general. Like you can't really think of a sitcom that had a black lead. So when you realized that and you were filming it, did you think that this was historic in that sense?
It's interesting. What's funny is like, there's a couple answers to that question. My first thought growing up, for me, everything was black on TV. UPN, WB. I grew up on the Wayans Brothers, Moesha, the Parkers. Everything was black on TV when I was a kid. All that, Nickelodeon had just never black kids. Like everything was black. So there's that. Then I got older. It became dry. Like I didn't see a lot of people who looked like me on screen. But in the back of my head, it wasn't like I wanted to go to CBS to change that. Like I didn't want to, like, I just wanted to make a good show. And it just so happens they didn't have a black lead on a TV sitcom in 10 years. And that announcement was a little weird because it felt like, one, it was flattering, but also it was like, why? Like, why? Why did it take so long? What are you afraid of? What's going on? You know? So there was a very bittersweet kind of feeling I had with that announcement. It felt like, in some ways, it felt like I was being propped up. You know what I mean? Like, you know, like, hey, look, we got one. You know, it felt like that a little bit. Yeah, it did. And I truly, that wasn't, definitely wasn't a feeling that I want to have when I'm trying to really like make a show great. You know, when I go into a show, I don't want any chip on my shoulder. I don't want none of that. I got into this game to be the best actor, the best comedian, the best writer, one day the best director I could be. You know, and in doing so, I want to open doors for everybody else, from my hometown to other hometowns that are like mine. I want people to see me and be like, oh, there can be a brother who dyes his hair blonde or grows his hair into crazy shapes and sizes and whatnot, who can star in a TV show, who talks the way I talk, who looks the way I look. that can happen. Because to be honest, like niggas who look like me were only in like McDonald's commercials, you know, with fedoras and like like in the Black History Month and stuff. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's what it was. Like the approachable black guy was only in those type of in those that was the only time you saw one on TV sometimes, man. I'm like, what happened? Like what happened to Moesha? And like what happened? So I was very like aware of all of that. But at the end of the day, my responsibility was to just deliver an amazing show and talk about things that need to be talked about. And in doing so, make sure that that gap, that drought never happens again. Ever, ever again. Ever, ever again. Because we do have worth. The things that we say, the things that we do are worth being televised on TV. They're so worth it. So why 10 years? And ever since then, none but black shows on CBS. So, you know, I'm very fortunate. I got to spend time with, you know, on that network. You know, it was a journey. There were some great days, some frustrating days, but they were days nonetheless that shaped me and built me and like, you know, helped me grow as to the person I am today. So I'm very fortunate to have done that show with the people I did it with, and I'll never forget it.
Our Black Entertainment Trivia Fact of the Week is: which Black actor has the most primetime Emmy nominations? Is it Joe Earl, Debbie Allen, RuPaul, or Wanda Sykes? You can find out the answer next week and on shadowandact.com. You know, our site always talks about how UPN was such a beacon of Black entertainment. Mm-hmm. And then it just kind of, you know, when it kind of became the CW along with WB, mm-hmm. all these Black stories were just lost. And then up until recently, I guess like maybe the past 5 to 7 years, that's when we've kind of seen this Black storytelling coming on broadcast mm-hmm. networks. And, you know, I'm thinking a lot of Black creators, Black showrunners are headed to streaming and stuff now. Do you think there's like maybe a disconnect between, you know, the stories that we're seeing on broadcast and then versus like other outlets?
I think what's going on is you think about broadcast and who they broadcast to, right? It's, you know, middle America. And my issue with network TV is that they spoon feed a lot of their audience, and they don't really challenge them too much, you know? I feel like the networks believe they know best, you know? Yeah. They know exactly what they should be watching, you know? And, you know, given, I honestly like would love to like know the answer to that, like, but I don't. I just don't know the answer to that question. However, I see what I see on network, and I see what I see on streamers and cable, and it's different. The subject matter is completely different, and I think it's because maybe one is just more palatable to others. Some people want to watch TV. There's some days when I watch TV and I just want to listen to just stuff I don't have to really pay attention to.
Yeah, just like in the background.
Yeah, background noise. You know, whether it's reality TV or The Voice, whatever it is, you just kind of want to. But also, that stuff kind of just it cheers people up. Look at the way like The Voice is shot. I look at The Voice and I go, man, that just shit makes me smile. Like it's just beautiful. It's beautifully shot. And then you look at cable, and the subject matter is completely different. It's just it's darker. It's a little edgy. It's raw. It's real. It's truthful. All that. And some people just want to escape that, you know. Some people just want to escape that darkness and from reality, and they prefer. But I think it just depends on what you are in the mood for, you know. Sometimes I'm in the mood for a network show. I was going through a weird, depressing like couple months not too long ago, and you know what I did? I watched Seinfeld reruns on Hulu, and I was like, yeah, I feel good. It made me laugh and it made me forget, you know, and I get that. Like, I understand that. That show is just, a lot of those shows are perfect for that feeling that you know. And then some days I feel like I want to get challenged, and you watch I May Destroy You, and
Brilliant show.
and Lovecraft Country. You watch those, and you just feel like I feel like you feel inspired or motivated to do something. I just think it depends on your mood. It truly just depends on your mood. They're all great. All of them are great. They're just from different strokes for different folks, to be real. But I think there's a way network can marry a lot of the subject matter from streamer and cable, and find something substantial for their audience. That can think about what remember Sanford and Son, perfect example.
Yeah,
that's a network show, and I watched the pilot. I'm like, what? And like I'm like, they got away with so much truth on that show, man, and it was beautiful. And a lot of that's missing. And I'm like, I want to see more of that, And I think I'm not the only one. So there's a lot of corniness with network that I believe could be uncornified.
Uncornified.
I think so. I think so. But again, like, there's an audience for it. There's definitely an audience for it. Like Big Bang Theory. I didn't think I'd like Big Bang Theory, but I like it. I think it's funny. King of Queens is genius. Like, I think those shows are amazing. I would even count The Simpsons as a network show. Like, they're all genius in their own right. I just think that, like, I miss that Norman Lear.
Yeah.
I only speak for myself, so I'm not shitting on network TV or anything like that. I respect it very much, but I do miss that Norman Lear sort of like approach to doing a multicam. Like, I miss when things felt important, and things felt like they were super layered and like heavy. I miss that vibe, man.
And as a comedian who has, a deep background in stand-up and transitioning to, being an actor, what do you think was the hardest part about, transitioning to scripted, whether serialized, whether drama, just this sort of different type of storytelling than just being able to, go out on a show and just riff off of yourself pretty much to actually, being in a scripted environment?
No, it was, I believe stand-up has complemented my acting, and my acting has complemented my stand-up. I feel very fearless and just more curious at times too when I'm doing both. Just put it this way: when I did Donuts, all I did was stand up at the time, but it didn't make me afraid of the live audience or anything like that. In fact, it kind of complemented that aspect of shooting a live show, because I knew the timing. I knew how to kind of relax and wait for the laugh to die down, and then start the next line. The rhythm was there basically, because I do stand up. But from stand up to a feature like Sorry to Bother You, my role again was kind of my role kind of called for a lot of like comedy, and again, confidence. I was very confident in what I was going to be improvising and, just delivering with that character, Sal. And the biggest moment for me in the movie was our argument, me and Lakeith's argument in Sorry to Bother You. And the toughest thing about that was not only keeping a straight face, it was honestly... And it was something Boots brought up to us, and it was something we had to get down. And we were doing the lines as scripted, the compliment argument. And Boots told us cut. And he said, it's good, but it's not like, man, not really capturing, I don't know. And we understood what he meant. And he said, wing it, just told us to wing it. And we did, and that's the take we got. The GIF, the meme that you guys see, like that's the take that he told us to kind of improvise. And of course, there's some moments where we got things that were scripted, but if coming from comedy, like I know I could deliver comedy, but the other layer to that for that scene was to be angry and still be complimentary and be serious and play it straight. That's where the acting comes in. And so I was I, up until that point, I was always into like Leslie Nielsen movies, like Naked Guns, Wrongfully Accused, and all of them. And what made those movies so perfect is that they always played it straight. They always played it straight. No one tried to be funny. They just played it like you'd play a drama, a cop drama. That's how those are my favorite comedies. And I thought about that the entire time I was doing that scene with Lakeith. And so I've always felt drama and comedy just complement each other so well. And I always believe that stand-up and drama and acting and they've always worked well for each other. And I can say that I can speak on that from experience. It really does. So it's a benefit, man. It's definitely a strength that I have and I don't want to lose.
I was going to say that I think personally that so many people are going to be introduced to you through coming to America, but they probably don't know that they've seen you before in this meme that pops up probably every 2 weeks on my timeline, whether it's Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, because some people just, Facebook has like about a year delay on everything anyway. So it'll pop up and then they're going to watch this movie and they're going to be like, I recognize him, and then people just be figuring out where they know you from, and then it's gonna be that meme that they've seen.
It's hilarious, man. I text Lakeith every time like the meme pops up for something really important. I text Lakeith like, "We back, baby," And I think about that. I think about the amount of like doing interviews with y'all. Like I've been realizing how much work I put in and how long I've been doing this. 15 years, and how closely folks have been following me, and it's been very flattering, and I've been so grateful about it. And so, like, when you bring up the meme, that's so true. Like, I do look different. You know what I mean? Like, I change my look every movie. Like, the hair is not the same. I don't have the mustache, the goatee, nothing like, you know what I mean? All that's gone. And that's the beauty about, like, the growth, like, of the careers. Like, I'm not that person anymore. I'm just completely different. And I've changed, and I'm way funnier. Like, I'm just way more aware. Like, all is just different now. And I can't wait for people to see just what I can do and what I've done and like just to catch up with me. All that stuff's really cool to me, man.
And you were among the inaugural crop of, I guess, queens on RuPaul's Drag Race, the Celebrity Edition, which took place a few months ago. It ran at the same time season 13 was running. And I just wanted to, take a deep dive into you deciding to do that and what the reasons why you did that, and just thinking about how, what people would take away from, it was a really powerful episode. I think like all of the episodes kind of delivered between you being on there and Lonnie Love and Vanessa L. Williams, all these people in our community being on that show as celebrities and, being, I guess it was a competition, but still not a competition. I mean, y'all were competing, but I just wanted to know why you decided to do that and what you hope that people who were watching you during the episode would take away from that.
Oh, man. Thanks for asking that. There are a couple reasons why I did it. 2 reasons. One is for that woman over there. That's my mom. She was a lesbian. And I just love that she found love in her life before she left, and that community is just so supportive. They're just so supportive, and just seeing how happy she was just like really made me happy. So when I got the email, hey, RuPaul Celebrity Drag Race wants you, I was like, immediately I was like, this is the dopest offer I've gotten in a long time. What took so long, And my at the time, my manager's assistant, Katie, was like, she sent a sidebar just to me. He said, you gotta do it. And I'm like, I'm already thinking about doing it. This is amazing. And then I thought, what the reaction would be, right? Because I'm a black male, I'm straight, and the amount of scrutiny and like just niggas ain't allowed to do stuff like that, especially where I'm from. This is the fact. You're not supposed to. You can't do it. And that's why I did it. Cause I don't give a fuck. And drag queens don't give a fuck. And they're so funny. And they just, you know how badass you gotta be to do what they do? You know what I'm saying? Like you truly do, man. On so many levels, man. You gotta be such a badass. And I thought doing that was just such a fuck you to the norm, you know, for us. I've always told myself to always challenge yourself. Jermaine, always find a challenge. You know, that curiosity is going to lead you everywhere you want to go. Never run away from it. And so whether it's TV, film, whatever the hell it is, what is it, you know? And I always wanted to chase that. And this was the perfect kind of like, this is it, man. This is your test. Go do it. And I showed up, immediately was welcomed by everybody. Met Ru. She can look at you and she just, you know what I mean? Like she just has seen and done so much with her life. And I feel like when I first talked to her, I feel like I've known Ru for like years. We just met, you know, and Bob, my drag mom, like we talked about, you know, blackness and queerness in our community. And like, we just vibed on that. And I heard him, you know, I heard everything he was saying. You know, I grew up in a homophobic sort of neighborhood, you know, just facts, and it's unfair. But that's exactly why I did it. That's exactly why I did it. It's those are the moments that kind of immortalize you. You know what I'm saying? And not just for other people, for me, like I had to prove something to myself that I had to get out of my comfort zone and do something that made me. I didn't feel uncomfortable though. Like I didn't feel only thing that was uncomfortable were the shoes. That was it. Everything else kind of. I felt awesome, man. I felt good. Like I felt really, really good. I felt connected to my moms. I felt connected to a side of me that gets, you know, kind of because where I come from, like it gets kind of bottled up, you know, a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like just a side. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I wanted to embrace that. Just kind of want to embrace a lot of what I was going through, and just want to just explode a little bit on that stage. And for my, you know, the people who watched me come up, like I just wanted them to see a different side of what I do and what I can do. And that show gave me the platform to really kind of just tell my story in a way that's never, ever, ever been told. And I couldn't thank them enough. And I want to come back.
Yeah, I know. Just but for me personally, it was such a great moment to see, and I just applaud you so much for doing that, because I feel like, you know, as the years go on, we do get more, I guess, tolerant, and, you know, people push boundaries, but it's still, even today in 2020/2021, not a lot of people would have done that.
No, even that word tolerant, like, is so, you know what I mean? Like, it's unfair to say tolerant, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we exist, you know what I'm saying? Like, you exist, you know, like, why do I have to tolerate you? It's just such a,
yes.
I hate that fucking word. And that to me was like a big fuck you to people who kind of just don't understand it and can't get with the program. It's 2021 now, you know what I mean? And like, why do you think the way you know, why? You know, it's, I felt like there needs to be more of that. And it doesn't take, it's going to take more moments where people can just kind of just speak up and speak for people who need to be spoken for sometimes. Like, when, like, there are times when, like, I get, like, you know, conversations with my homies, and they'll say something that's kind of like, nah, you know, it's me that's going to have to speak up. You know what I mean? Like, not, you know, it takes a team that, you know, like, I can't stress how much, like, I'm sick of it. Like, I'm just sick of that scrutiny that comes with that lifestyle, and the trepidation, and the hate, and the confusion, all that stuff. And it all comes from a place. It all comes from a place. And I want to know, you know, those places need to go, man. They just need to go. They need to be addressed, and we need more. Just need more love, man. And I felt love when I was up there, man. I appreciate everything. And yeah.
And how does it feel to be in this truly full circle moment for you, being, you know, a comedian working with one of our most iconic comedians of all time, and Eddie Murphy. Like, did you think that, you know, when you got the Coming to America call, that, you know, all of this would end up in you playing Prince Akeem's son in the sequel to one of the most legendary movies in Black cinema? How does that feel to be in this moment right now?
Unreal. It's unreal. It's unreal, man. I watched the movie growing up. I've watched it growing up every day. I was a little kid, quoted everything from the movie, and never got tired of quoting it. The most quotable movie. It's the most quotable movie of all time, period. Fast forward to 2019 when we shot it. I can't stress to you like how life is crazy. Life is truly, Eddie is the reason why I wanted to do what I'm doing right now. Eddie Murphy Raw, that's why I wanted to do stand up. He's the reason why I wanted to act Eddie. And so to get that call, so much was so many emotions were just flowing through me. I just couldn't believe it. And I felt very validated. 15 years of doing this, like I felt like, yeah, I belong here, you know. And I get to kind of show the world what I can do, and it's just the beginning. It's just the beginning. That role was such a wonderful role to get. But there's so much more that I want to do. There's so much more that I want to do. There's so much more I want to give back, and I can't wait to this is just kind of just the start. But I've been doing this for so long, and it still feels like I'm starting, which is great because I love that enthusiasm about my life and my career. I think enthusiasm is what pushes Eddie. Like I watch Eddie, and you know, seeing him doing this and not missing a fucking beat, honestly being better than he ever was. I love what he is right now. I think he's just so good. Like he's just on a different level, and that made me go, I'm going to be doing this for the rest of my life. That's what Pryor was doing. Pryor did this until he got MS. Even when he had MS, like he was still doing it. Mm-hmm. And that's where I see my career, and that's where I see myself like decades from now, is to be doing this, you know, big old beard that's gray and bad back, can barely talk. But as soon as they say action, crack my back up, you know, voice coming, like everything comes back. Like that's what James Earl Jones was doing, man. It was beautiful to see him in his element, man. It never leaves you. It never leaves you, and it's been very motivating to see this whole group of people I've worked with keep that same love and energy. And I'll never forget it, man.
We learned so much about Jermaine's process, from going to stand-up to acting, as well as how both of those complement each other. He also talked about his willingness to shake the table and talked about his experience of acting alongside comedy legends. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Opening Act with Jermaine Fowler. You can watch the full interview as well as exclusive content on lunchtable.com. Create an account and watch other Shadow and Act programming such as Reel It Back and Shadow and Act Live. Until next time.